think it's working. Shows up over there. Cool. But why does it say waiting? It's oh, okay, it changed. Okay, I will assume it's working. Let's get started. Today I'm going to build the list management extension, which will let you manage mod lists, black lists, white lists, and probably also admin lists. We'll design it a little bit later. I'm not sure if it will be allowed to be run through chat or only through commands by the server to prevent abuse. Maybe we should just not let it run with admins, and then it can be used through the server. That might work. So let's get started. I haven't built an extension in nearly a year now, so this will probably take a bit. I did find that I have built something somewhat similar before. The list manager extension does something kind of similar and uses a lot of the functions that we will be using. Specifically, there are the set lists functions. Is this really far behind? This does look very far behind. That's fine. I think it's about 10 seconds behind, so that's fine. Anyways, there's this set list which accepts a partial object with each with a key for admin list, white list, black list, all of that. So we'll probably let the server operator decide which lists that they create can be applied to which list in the game. Yeah, I think that'll work. So let's go ahead and get started. The starter repository is usually where I go to get started with a new project. And I'm just going to go ahead and clone this. I might not have that installed on this account. That's fine. We will use our own version of. We'll clone it ourselves. Shoot. Okay. Oh. That's unfortunate. I did not think to get that working. So we're just going to download the zip file, and that will work for now. And you can't see it yet because I was not able to get display capture set up. So I'm relying on window capture, which is unfortunate, but it will work for today. So let's open code there, close that version of code, and we have a new code. Okay. I don't want to install those at this time. Open up the terminal. Okay. Let's take a look at this. These are horribly outdated, but that's probably fine. So we'll install our dependencies, and then we'll go ahead, once those are installed, and upgrade them. I'm guessing this will break things, but we'll go ahead and fix that. It's not a big deal. Okay, can we build successfully? Because if we can, right on. And apparently we don't have anything outdated. Maybe I upgraded these recently. I don't remember doing that. That's okay. Well, TS-Lint is definitely outdated because that's deprecated now. What? I don't believe that. There's version 7 out. That's fine. I don't really care, I guess. Let's go ahead and get started. First, let's go ahead and make sure that the default works. So we'll go ahead and figure out how to load this into our browser. I have a . example extensions.json file loaded, which is loaded by the bot when launched. So we will go ahead and create one of these for our extension. This isn't necessary to do if you're publishing an extension. It can be added to the official repository, but it's useful for testing when developing locally. I'll call this lists. I don't think I've used that name before. I forgot to change back to code. Here we go. So we'll change the ID here. I also need to change the ID here. The package, since this will be for developing locally, we're going to change this to localhost. And I'm going to open up a server on port 8000. And it's going to be in this directory, so I need to go into build and use bundle.js. That is a file in here. This is list manager. And I believe we can make this work on all environments without too much extra trouble. So we'll go ahead and do that. I'll fork this so that we can set up our server in this directory. And now if we open up a browser, we can go to localhost 8000, and it shows this. If we go to build bundle, you'll see we have the bundle, which is great. So now, if we go to extensions, we probably want to change that to HTTP. Let's change that, save, refresh. Okay, it didn't properly save. Restart the server. Why is it still showing HTTPS? I changed it to HTTP. I thought I changed it. I did not change it. There we go. Okay, so now we have this. Now we can go into the settings, and let's add that as a repository URL. And to apply that, you have to reload the page. Extension repo has failed to load, so let's go ahead and take a look at our developer tools and see why. It didn't like extensions.json. Why? Because HTTP. Yeah, I didn't think I could do that. Okay, so this is a problem that I didn't foresee. I need a way to serve with HTTPS. Or I could just take this repository and run it locally, which I think we'll do. Download zip. And I will extract this over here. Let's go back into Visual Studio Code, and I'm going to add a folder to this workspace. We can work on that. Add that. Interesting. We'll install everything here, and I'm guessing there's a serve command. Actually, probably not, so we will add a repository here. and I need to do this on a different port, so we'll do that. And now if we go back to our browser, I should be able to go to localhost 8001, and it shows us this, which is nearly there. I'm going to go to bot. Right on. Let's try adding our extension from the other one. Extensions. Nope. Nope. Settings. Grab that. Don't need this tab anymore. We're going to be using this one. And hopefully this works. Nope, it failed to load. Okay, why did it fail to load? HTTP. Oh, let's see. No refer and downgrade. Why? Stalled. Open tab. It loads fine here, so it's not that. Why? Don't know why. Cores. Okay, we're going to have to set this. That's really obnoxious. I thought I had this working earlier. Yep. We'll use our own. Wait a second. This is for Python 3. There we go. This looks better. Go ahead and set this up within our starter serve.py. I don't need extensions for that. No, that stays the same. It's our first one. This one's going to change to that. And this changed to 8003. That's fine. I forgot to change the code. Sorry about that. All I did was copy this into a different server and change. And this is serving on 8003. So now when we reload, hey, look at that, it loaded. And if we go to extensions, we have List Manager, which is what we're developing today. Okay, that took a while. Hello, good gracious boy. Install. I didn't see anything pop up, which tells me it didn't load, which is a problem. I believe this one just does a notification. Let's go back to code and take a look at that. Yes, we should be sending a message. And okay, let's do that to make sure we see the message. Build. This has been rewritten to undefined. It's fine. We can ignore that. So created the bot/bundle. Wait, which directory are we in here? Okay, that's better. I think it should work now. Switch back to the browser. That's not looking promising. Okay, let's put a breakpoint in here just to be sure that it's actually running. It is calling that, so that's good. Nope, that's not what I want. I want, where's localhost 8003? So that's really what I'm interested in here. Did we forget to change the URL? 8003. There we go. That should do it, I think. Let's go back in here, reload. Profile/lists. That makes it look like it's loaded. Oh, okay. Looks like I was wrong. I have used the lists extension ID before, and it's for the list manager. Yep. Okay, so that's fine. We can just change that to a different extension ID and it should just work. Okay, profile/lists. I don't know, lists editor. We'll change that extensions.json as well. We have a watch build, so it's automatically being recompiled when we change the necessary file. Let's go back here and reload this page again. Now, because we installed that previously, we need to go ahead and remove that and install the list manager that we want to use. Pending 8003 build bundle.js. Is that the correct? It should be the same as 8003. Yep. Still pending though. Build bundle.js. Hey, it worked, finally. Okay, that's good. With that, now, okay, good, and then that showed up as well. Right on. Now we can actually start building this extension. Let's start by, well, let's see, we need to mock up a UI. We need to actually write the extension and then tie the UI into the extension storage. Let's start by mocking up a UI because that will probably inform how the rest of the extension will work. Now, I'm pretty simple. I don't use anything fancy for mocking up a UI. I tend to use Paint. So let's see what we're doing today. So we have our page, and when you're in here, you should be able to edit lists, add lists, change which server list it applies to. So I think we can follow something similar to what we've done before with the messages extension. So let's take a look at that really quick. Go into messages, trigger. When we add one of these, I don't think I'll implement dragging around because that's kind of tricky and not really necessary for this extension. But we will just have a dropdown for choosing which list this applies to, and a box much like this where you can edit lists. We should also have a list which always refers to the previously swapped out list, or history list. I guess we also need to give users the ability to change the name of the list. So that's three things. Maybe this isn't the best UI. Maybe we should be using something like the one for, I believe it's man pages. Maybe something like this will work better. Yeah, maybe that'll work better just with an extra delete button here, because I don't particularly care for this method of deleting messages. Yeah, let's use this instead. I think it will work better. Okay, so with that in mind, let's go copy that code so we don't have to write it again. And pages. Tab. Right on. Copy that. And then we're going to go back to code. I guess I didn't really need to use paint at all, did I? Never ended up doing much with it. Tab.html, because we'll be able to import this. Okay. So we have our list ID. We're going to have a drop down here for which list it will apply, and then list contents. It will probably be useful at some point to be able to add items to the list and remove them from the list. So we should probably provide commands for that. Okay. So this extension lets you find and apply lists with the /list apply d. This is code. This is HTML, not Markdown. List apply list ID command. Let's see. So it lets you do that. We will also let you add to the list. Search list. List ID. Add item. And these are always names, so we can just go ahead and call them names. list using okay, we have that. Is there anything else important here that I'm missing? Adding, removing. Let's go ahead and make this called out so that it's easier to see. Who should be able to use list apply? Who should be able to use /list in general, actually? Should we make it only the owner? Owner and server? And then if users want to automatically apply lists, and have admins be able to do it, they can add a trigger which runs that command. I think this is the best way to do that. Oh, okay. How do we restore a list that's been overwritten? That's something we need to have changed. Because, okay, we do list apply new admins, and that overwrites our admin list with the new admins list that we've defined in this extension. We then need to save the existing admin. We need to save the existing admin list before we apply that. So is it going to be list reset and then list ID, and it'll overwrite that? That seems reasonably simple. Let's go ahead and reformat this into a list so it's easier to read. For this really to be useful, though, application needs to work properly for admins, because there's no way for the bot right now to match patterns in triggers and pass those patterns on. I don't think that's quite true. I think you can do it with regular expression triggers, but I don't think that's documented anywhere, and I don't think anybody knows that. So there's effectively no way. So this needs to have a drop-down for who can do it. And we'll do that in a minute. Should not be plural. Add name to the mentioned list. And we're going to have the same thing for remove. This, we could make it automatically apply, but to do that we would have to keep track of which list is currently applied. Do we care about that? That's more complicated, and there are other things I want to do today, so I'm going to say we don't care about that right now, and we'll keep it using this. Yes. Yeah, we'll keep it like that. Okay, this seems reasonable to me. And we're going to add one more here. List reset list ID. Resets the server list to the previous list. This seems reasonable to me. We could store that, but lists already get pretty big. I know Gemini has something that's like 4,000 lines long, and I'm not really sure I want to deal with storing that because backups already get pretty big. So for now, we'll have it store it in memory. If enough people ask, well, probably if 2 people ask it on the forum, we'll change that to store the previous list storage. Okay, let's take a look at see what this looks like. First, we're going to have to create a tab for it. Add tab, list, editor is equal to tab content. And tab content, we're going to have to import from tab.html. Okay, that's good. Let's take a look and see what this looks like. going to go, well, it doesn't matter, we have to reload anyways. Still pending. I don't know why this wants to stay pending for so long. It seems like a problem. The new tab. And then it will have loaded. Yep. Okay. I thought this added a box, a warning box, like what is on the settings tab. That's really what I want. Copy, outer HTML. Let's go ahead and change that. There we go. Let's go ahead and reload here. Reload. I'm just going to keep this in to really. So this time it's actually just sitting there. Apparently it needs to be open in a new tab to. Oh shoot! I didn't need to reload again. Okay. Go there. Please. I don't really want it to look at the cache. Why? I don't understand why this one's so slow. List editor. There we go. That's kind of what I wanted, mostly. I don't like that. Let's see, how should this be changed to not get in the way? Actually, let's change it so it's on the left, so it's consistent with these. Is adding message. This isn't going to change. I haven't changed this code in over a year. It's not going to change. I'm just going to use it. No, it's not really. This is the wrong one. Let's go ahead and uninstall man pages so I don't just keep trying to use it. HTML. Boom. Okay, there's that. Reset should also probably have a drop down. Problem with, I don't want to, maybe we skip these for now. Because if they are necessary, we also need it for apply and reset. But if we only have apply and reset, then those can just be changed by the user in the owner portal. So could go either way. In interest of making something work today, let's get rid of them. I won't fully get rid of them, I'll just comment them out. And we'll add a note here. Okay. This makes it fairly simple. I think we might actually be able to finish before 10. So let's get started. built most of the UI, and that's the hardest part. We do need to change this button because we did change that. I like that better. We'll look for his adding message. Tab dot query selector is adding message, add event listener. Click. Add list. Don't have a function for that yet. Find that up here. I should probably get a random name. String 2, that's size 2. Right, that's a decent way of getting a random string. Let's check that. That's okay, 16 is probably what I wanted. And we don't want that to be too long. 2 to 8. 6 characters is reasonable. No. First name string. So in here we need to change some things because we need to have the drop down for which does this apply to. The MessageBot uses Bulma as a UI framework. And I know there's some class that you're supposed to apply. Yep, here we go. There is way more. I just want a standard select. This is more complicated than I want. Form. Input. Oh. Somebody else uses a drop down somewhere. And bot, I'm sure of it. Trigger does, I believe. But that might not. Yeah, well, we'll grab whatever styling this has. And use that. That was the wrong direction. There we go. So this is going to be whitelist. List. Admin list or blacklist. We'll reorder those in the normal order. I think it's. I don't remember what the keys are, but we'll check that. I believe it's on world. Yeah. World lists. What are they named? Admin list, mod list, whitelist, blacklist. We want to use the same here so that we can pass this directly in. We'll require a cast, but that's fine. So for list ID, this isn't list ID, this is server list. Okay. Let's create an interface for what are we storing? We need to store the ID, which is going to be a string. We need to store the list, which is going to be one of the world lists. I think we can import that. Oh, what's it called? World lists, and it's in Blockhead's API interface. There we go. And list ID, and then we have the actual list, which is just going to be the string. We could store an array of strings, but just storing a string is fine for now, because we're not doing anything special with adding and removing. If we were, then we'd have to store an array of strings and also replicate the special parsing for blacklists that actually applies to all lists, where the device ID can be ignored. Okay, so when we load, we need to get our store lists from the storage lists, and we're going to have an array, and this is technically unsafe, but it will be fine because we don't actually validate this, but nothing else in the bot does either, and it all works because nobody goes around and messes with the storage on their own. Okay. We're also going to need to add a command. Oh. Add command, here we go. List. Player args. Character. So we also need a remove for when this extension is removed. Remove, we're going to just remove this command. The storage is automatically cleaned up. That was one change made in the version 7 bot, which is wonderful. Okay, so we need to find the list that the user specified. Command and list ID. Split. But white space. That plus was supposed to be here. And list ID. If the command is, what are commands again? They are apply and reset. Yes. If we aren't one of those, we can go ahead and return right now because this is a valid command. Could do a message here, but that's fine. I don't think we need to worry about it. We also only want this to work for the owner. Is owner? I believe his owner also returns true for who? For server. Let's take a look at the documentation for that. Or is the server? Good. So yes. Okay, we have that. We also need to save the reset lists. That. Okay, we've got the reset lists. So if it's reset, so whichever one of these it is, we need to figure out which list it is. So we need to find in the stored lists a list whose list ID is equal to the list ID provided by the command. And if we don't find one, we're going to go ahead and print an error message or send an error message. And return. If we did find one, though, we can continue on. If our command is reset, then we want to go ahead and set the, this returns promise. I'm going to go ahead and throw that away. That's not best practice, but that's fine. We want to set the list ID to, what do you say? This keeps a string, so we might as well keep strings, string array as well. And that'll be fine. The UI will just have to split by new line when setting this. So this is reset, so we want to use the reset lists list to use list ID. We'll at least print this error out to the console if we run into a problem. Otherwise, we want to use the list stored. It's going to be basically the same thing, only instead of that, it's going to be stored list, no, list to use, actually. We already have it, that list. If we're in here, then command is equal to apply. So after this successfully works, then reset previous list. To that list. We should make a note in the tab that You should not use spaces there because that will break a parser. That's fairly consistent with the rest of the bot. Don't need that. So we can't quite test everything yet. Well, we can test that this error shows up. Might as well do that. There we go. All right, let's go back to the browser. Refresh the page. Still pending. Don't know why it's still pending, but we'll deal with it. Still waiting for cache, huh? Okay. We have it now. List editor. So we can go ahead and run. Just list apply does not exist. And this should give us an error, as expected. Wonderful. Now let's start actually building some lists, shall we? Let's go back to the code and add list is going to do things. This actually doesn't need to be defined until after the UI. It's hoisted anyways, but I like to keep things separated based on whether or not they are usable in the browser. So this push ID is going to be the list name that was passed in. Move that underscore now. List ID will default to setting the heading list. Doesn't really matter. Users can change it. And the list itself is going to be empty. At this point, I remembered we need to save this to stored list. Not stored lists, reset lists. Get lists. Shoot. This returns promise as well. Okay, that's fine. Get lists. Then when we have lists, we will go ahead and set that appropriately and return this, and then run. Always run. Then set the list to the other list. Reset, we don't want to maintain a forever history. So I think we'll just save 1, and reset will always reset to that 1 until you use apply. Okay. So we have add list. And this also needs to do that. We'll just do refresh. Really. It'll be a little bit more expensive, but that's fine. This isn't actually what we want to do here. This needs to be done up here. This container tab selector dot lists. List container. Clear that out, and then we're going to rebuild it as appropriate with our stored lists. I believe the UI has a build template function. Yeah. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, this is exactly what we wanted. Template. What else does it take? Target, which is going to be our lists container, and then some rules. If I remember right, yep, selector. So we need to look for data for name. Let's change that to ID. And then in here we want to put, this is a input, so value is list ID. We want to look for a list. I'm very bad at being consistent with data for data. Change those quotes. And the value for that will be list ID. And our content will be the list, but we have, because it's an array, we have to join it with new lines. Okay, that works. So this is actually going to change because I want to move this into that function. This will take a stored list and it'll do this. It will not refresh the GUI. Because these are functions and they're hoisted, TypeScript doesn't know the UI must be defined when they're called. So that's why I just include this in here. List ID is that. That's just going to be ID, not list ID. Morning. That's good. So refresh GUI is going to be called never, actually, only once. So really, it can just, this can be here after we've set up all those. Set lists, and the value is going to be stored lists, because we will go ahead and mutate that before that call. That's the end of that. Okay, so at this point, we need to empty out stored lists, and then container the selector. Anything specific I can look for? Details. I don't want all of them. Push list. So ID is going to be data for ID. List ID. As keywordless, and the list itself is going to be the text in data for content split by new line. I didn't like that. It's possibly null. I know it's not null because I created all these elements. Okay, and we want to do save lists whenever anything changes within that content. So there. World is defined but never used. Yeah, don't need that. Okay. Reload, and I think this should work. As soon as it loads. Okay. List editor. Boom. Ah, we need to update that. Now it should all work. Slow. I don't understand why this is slow. I'll have to do some debugging before I do this again. I'm curious, how loud is my fan? Can you actually hear that over the stream? List editor. Boom. Hello. Why doesn't that update? Let's go ahead and don't care actually. I'm fine debugging this. So add list should also set the summary. That's a good lesson learned there. So change that. Right. It doesn't change till you deselect. You have to use the input for that, I believe. And in here, we're also going to set the summary. Text. I believe that this, now we're actually complete. I would like to test on a real server before calling it done. But I believe we're getting close at least. Okay, that's there. Boom, it's there. Good. Test admin list, and we're going to add admin test to the admin list. We're also going to add a second one here, which is just going to be test2. And this will also set the admin list to test overwriting. Test admin. Okay. Let's go into the console. List, apply. Forgot what it's called already. Test and test2. Okay. Test. I don't know if list admin list actually works in this fake bot. Looks like it does not. But we can look into the application local storage. I'm guessing I saved the list somewhere. Or maybe not. Maybe not. Okay. Admin list has one admin test. Okay. Test 2. Test admin. Good. Now when we reset, it should set it back to admin test. Doesn't matter which one of those we use. Admin test. Success. This seems to be working. How useful is reset, really? It doesn't seem too useful to me. Because if you apply a list twice, then you've lost your original list. I don't know a good way of fixing that besides adding a implicit list, which list is not applied right now, and then tracking that. Problem is, the bot doesn't have any listeners, as far as I know, as far as I remember, to figure out when someone's added or removed from a list. Yeah, there's join, leave, message, and other. I believe that's about it. Might be reasonable someday to actually make that a thing. But as far as this goes, I think this is actually done. We have a list. I guess one remaining thing to do is publish it. Oh, we also need to be able to delete these. Okay, let's do that. Let's do delete, and then we'll be done for the day. So we need a delete button. We'll grab the delete button off of triggers. Yeah. Copy that HTML. Go back to Visual Studio Code. I don't think that's a good spot for that. Let's take a look and see what it looks like. Yeah, I don't like that. I really want it like over here. Or we can just put it at the bottom. At the bottom, it seems reasonable. Put it down here. And we'll add an event listener for clicks that removes it. Do is going to need to be equal to delete, I believe. Yeah. Target dot parent element. So we need to remove the HR and then the details. Parent element here is the details. Next element sibling, remove. Remove. And at that point, we need to save lists because the list has been removed. At this point, we'll also save lists. Even though the user hasn't changed anything about that automatically generated list, this will work. List ID should also be unique. Do we make a note of that in here? Okay. Let's test this one more time, and I think we'll be ready to publish. Reload. Seriously want to know why local server is so slow. It shouldn't be so slow. Okay, that's loaded. Ah, shoot, I shouldn't have reloaded. Let's not have to wait for that again. Seriously, why is this one so slow? Okay, we have it now. Test 2, so that's there. Test deleting it. It did remove the following one. Remove that. Good, we're back down to 0. Good. This all seems to be working. Let's go ahead and publish this. So first off, we need to create a repository. Go to GitHub. We'll add a new repository. PHMB list manager. This will be public. Create. Copy that. Then we need to go back into Visual Studio Code. Stop building. There is no Git here. Nope, not yet. Let's look at change files. That looks good to me. Add those. Yes. What license does it show? My team? Sure, that'll work. Save our work. Sure. I don't remember. Okay. There we go. We've committed. Git remote add. Origin will be there. Git push. And this is going to fail because we don't have access rights. Because this is a new profile. So we need to go to settings in GitHub, then go to SSH and GPG keys, new SSH key. But first we need to create an SSH key in here. Never remember. Yes, that looks good to me. Do I have a clip here? Good, I do. Okay. Can't show you this because it is a secret key that if you have, you will be able to push as me. That formatted SSH key isn't supported, so oh, come on. Very well. Sorry about this. This is taking longer than I thought it would. We're going to go ahead and set up GitHub Desktop because that will let me log in and push without having to set up an SSH key. So this will be only a minute. And in the meantime, I suppose thanks for watching. There's not too much left of this stream. I don't know if anybody was actually watching because I don't have that many screens. Hey, there's apparently 2 people. Hello. As soon as we have GitHub Desktop, we'll be able to publish this, and then it will be available in the bot proper. Okay. Desktop. All right, let's go to OBS and add another window capture so you can see what I'm doing in desktop. Okay. Sign into GitHub. I'll take you to GitHub and we'll take you right back. Continue. I don't submit stats. Add an existing repository. Desktop, and we built this off the starter repository. Add that. There's our commit with all of the code. Publish that. What? Let's go ahead and change this to HTTP. Repository settings. Change it to that. See if it lets me push here. Hey, there we go. Now let's push. And now, go to GitHub. That's interesting that it shows that. Okay, it should be gone now. Refresh this page. It's there. So now we need to go to Settings and turn on GitHub Pages. We'll use our master branch. Oh, that's nice. They changed that UI since I was last here. And it points us to this page. When we go to this page, it will, oh, that's problematic. I have never seen that happen before. Is that fully down? Must not be, because these are hosted on GitHub Pages as well. No, it doesn't appear to be fully down. Okay, cool. Is that not where it lives? I don't remember where it lives. Build bundle.js. .js. There's our code. So now we can go ahead and submit a pull request to add this to the repository. I'll go as if I did not have permission to publish it. So go to Blockhead's message bot. We go to extensions. We open this in our GitHub desktop. And it's not showing you GitHub desktop. Sorry about that. I seriously need a display capture, so I don't have to worry about this. Where is it? There it is. Here's our GitHub desktop. We'll open it in Visual Studio Code. So let's go back to code, Apparently doesn't know this. We'll add yet another folder to the workspace. This was in Documents, GitHub Extensions. And we want to add this to Extensions. You can add it anywhere in here because the lint script will automatically place it where it should go. Let's do that. Paste it. Our extension ID is bibliofile/lists-editor. Our package is the URL on GitHub pages that we copied a little bit earlier. Change that. And change this to lists editor. Change the description to, I can use the same one in here. I suppose I called it list manager there. That's fine. There we go. With that change, we can run the lint script. Lint. Yep, there's a few warnings about getCDN. That's fine. Is getCDN still up? It is still up, and it actually doesn't have it. Interesting. That's fine. I'm not going to worry about that right now. We added it right here, effectively, because the lint orders these by name, so they're easier to find in the bot. So with these changes, let's go into GitHub, desktop. We're going to, there's no changes here, that's fine. It's to be expected. There's those changes. No changes there. Good. We'll add the list editor extension. Hit enter. Push. That has pushed now. So now let's go to the page where that's published. getCDN is still up, by the way. And we added it to extensions.json, so it'll be in here. Lists editor. Look at that. It's now in here. It's now published for the bot to be used by anyone. So we can even remove localhost from here, refresh the page, and list editor is here. So that's it for me. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.